2.
Welcome back to How to Start a Successful Law Firm in 90 Days or Less live stream. The last time we ran the How to Start a Successful Law Firm in 90 Days or Less live training program, which is a 12-week program. So we teach a lesson, and then the group meets for a few hours once a week, and we go over the implementation of the homework that was given the previous week. And then we teach the next lesson with homework, and then we meet live interactive discussion about what you did, what you got stuck on, what you were surprised with, what you were scared of, where you got confused, and everyone gets to turn on the hot seat. And then you listen to the next lesson. And I emphasize listen because you're not supposed to be watching this stuff. This is stuff you listen while you're driving around in your car and you're exercising and you're walking your dog. Because if you're going to be sitting in front of your computer, number one, you're going to get distracted by email, you're going to get distracted by social media, and you probably have work to do. So this is meant to maximize those dead times and turn your car into a very profitable classroom. Anyway, long story short, I ran this program myself live for the first time in, what year was it? 2009?
9.
I ran it myself live in 2009, and we stopped running it. We ran it every single quarter for 1 to 3 different cohorts. Every quarter from 2009 until 2019. That's a lot of cohorts. That's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of law firms that we helped to start. And then in 2019, we stopped. We just suspended the program. And if anyone at home wants to put in the chat why you think we suspended the program, I'll give you a prize. Probably will have value. It won't be a bullshit prize, not just a popsicle or a lollipop or something. We'll give you an actual real live prize that has real value, thousands of dollars of real live value, if you can correctly identify the real reason why we stopped doing this in 2019 after 10 years of success. It was always in demand. It always sold out. It was fun to do, and it was profitable. In 2019, we suspended it, and I want you to think about why. And understanding why we suspended it will give you a good insight into what the future of your law firm holds in store for you. Doesn't matter whether you're just starting a law firm or if you're already running a multi-million-dollar law firm. This is a very important insight for you to always keep in mind. And every time you can bring this insight back to top of mind awareness for you, you will instigate more profitable choices and decisions in your business. We ended yesterday, we ran late, and we didn't get to the Q&A, and I said that I would kick off today's live stream by addressing some of the Q&A and taking care of a little housekeeping. So Justin, you want to go ahead and read some of the questions that we had from yesterday and some of the questions we got overnight, and I guess this morning too.
Yeah, so the first question that actually came in, nobody's guessed yet on why we stopped doing the program. But the first question that came in...
No one's going to guess. No one's going to guess, even though I promise you, listen, how to manage a small law firm this year should come pretty close to $40 million in revenue. Last year, it did over $30 million in revenue. This year, we're projecting 38. With a little bit of luck, we can get to 40. We'll certainly end the year on a better than $40 million run rate. And every time I catch myself relearning this lesson, I just want to kick myself in the ass because I'm like, why, right? And so I want you to remember this lesson in hopes that maybe you don't have to keep relearning it and relearning it and relearning it like I have. Anyway, maybe someone will know the right answer. And by the way, someone out there, I know that you know the right answer. You just think that's too crazy, that's too obvious, that's too simple, that's not complicated enough. So you're not speaking up, even just to guess the right answer. Even though if you get the right answer, I will share with you a valuable prize that's worth thousands of dollars, for real thousands of dollars, right? No one will even guess for the chance of getting thousands of dollars, because what if I'm wrong?
We'll give them a chance to guess now that they know it's $1,000 prize, but
It's a prize worth thousands.
worth thousands,
plural,
okay,
of dollars.
thousands.
Look, this goes straight to the mindset of law firm owners and owners of law firms that are struggling. They have this mindset problem. And once we can help you work through and break free of this mindset problem, and it's really a problem, your law firm will become much more profitable and your life will become much better. Not just better because your law firm is more profitable, but better because your whole life just opens up and becomes freer and more enjoyable. And you break free of this limiting belief. And limiting belief, and this is, by the way, not something that's like you were born with. This is something that was done to us in law school, where they pound into us and they pound into us and they pound into us. Don't ask a question you don't already know the answer to. Don't ask a question you don't already know the answer to. And you know what happens when, first of all, that advice is taken out of context. The advice was intended for litigators in front of a jury. A litigator who doesn't ask the question they don't know an answer to in preparing for the trial loses the trial. You understand that? Transactional lawyers who don't ask questions they don't already know the answer to screw up the deal, and the clients fire them and never come back. Estate planning lawyers who don't ask questions they don't already know the answer to draft really bad estate plans for clients and do them a real disservice. You've got to ask questions you don't know the answer to. The problem is lawyers apply the standard that is taught in law school, and they try to apply it to the business of running a law firm. And it doesn't work when it comes to the business of running a law firm. You can be two different lawyers. Gonna go with my trustee, Green and Red. Green makes lots and lots of mistakes. Red never makes any mistakes. Like for real, never makes any mistakes. Red goes to the bar association meeting and puffs up his chest and says, I have not made any mistakes in the management of my law firm all year long. And assuming everyone believes him, everyone's going to beat a path to him and say, oh, please tell us, how do you avoid making any mistakes? And Green is going to discuss openly and candidly and honestly and courageously that she made like 25, 30, 50 mistakes this past year. Red made no mistakes. Green made like 20, 30, 50 mistakes. Red puffs out his chest and says honestly, I made no mistakes, and everyone was asking him for advice. Green says, I made like 20, 50, I made a whole bunch of mistakes this year, and everyone thinks she's an idiot. Except the reason why Red made no mistakes is because Red researched everything to fucking death. Because Red was afraid of making a mistake. Red was afraid of asking a question that he didn't already know the answer to. Red was afraid of being sued for malpractice because of something that got nothing to do with the practice of law. So Red over-researched, over-analyzed, over-investigated, overworked simple law firm management problems. But to his credit, he didn't make a single mistake. He also didn't make very many moves in his business. Green, she said, hey, what's the upside potential? What's the downside risk? The upside potential is great. This could really move the needle for my law firm. Okay, what's the downside risk? Oh, the downside risk is minimal. The downside risk is non-existent. Well, the upside potential is great. The downside risk is minimal or non-existent. What does the smart, rational, entrepreneurially mature person do? They make the move. Red is afraid of making the mistake. Red is blind to the upside and is only protecting his ego and his reputation against the downside risk. Green made 25 mistakes. Yes, that's true. But she made, in the process of making 20, 25, 50 mistakes, she made 3, 5, 7, 10 really smart, good, even lucky moves. And if you could just make a few good moves every quarter, you don't need 20. If you could make 2 or 3 really good, powerful moves every quarter, your law firm is going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and you're going to leave the rest way behind. That's the practical reality of it. How did I even get sidetracked? We've got questions.
We actually have some guesses. We have four
guesses on this. You want us to go one by one?
Oh, yes. The name and first, okay.
Yeah, let's go name and then their guess.
We'll go first.
So,
Yeah,
so
first
Christina
name.
says reason why you stopped is you got enough clients out of the program, so you stopped.
Totally incorrect. Not at all.
All right. Gabriella says participants did not actively or openly participate.
Entirely incorrect. They were rabid fans. Some of them are still members of How to Manage. They were fun to work with for the most part. I can only remember kicking out one person. In all those years, I can only remember kicking one person out from the program. Everyone is, for the most part, was very, very active and engaged and fun, and we had huge celebrations at the end. It was a great experience.
Okay, Alana says you lost money operating the program.
I already told you it was very profitable. It's a very profitable program for us to run.
Okay, and then finally, Dana, who's been with us from the very beginning.
Very first
of this,
stream.
Very first stream. She's been with us all throughout the entire stream, every single one. She says it was too expensive for those trying to spend the money to start a law firm.
Absolutely nothing could be further from the truth. It's $5,000. And if you don't have $5,000 to invest in learning how to set up a law firm the right way the first time, whether you spend the $5,000 with us, or you spend the or you invest the $5,000 with someone else, but if you're not willing to invest $5,000 with 100% money back guarantee to learn how to set up a law firm the right way the first time, the business that you and your family are going to depend on to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars of income, forget gross revenue, income for you. Please, I'm begging you, let us know that we need to help you find a job. Don't start a law firm. Do not start a law firm if you're not prepared to invest at least $5,000 learning how to do it the right way the first time, because you're going to make tens of thousands you're going to make dozens of tens of thousands of dollar mistakes in the first 2 years. It's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes if you don't learn to do this the right way the first time. And what's worse than the hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes, because you can recover from hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes, assuming you learn something from it. The real problem is all the opportunities you miss. Because if Green builds a solid foundation and maybe has a $250,000 law firm in the first 18 months, and Red just works his fucking ass off and has a $300,000 law firm in the first 18 months, but Green put proper policies, solid procedures, good systems in place so Green can get the business to start working for her, while Red is just grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. Red goes from 300,000 to 350, from 350 to 500, and then Red fucking hits the wall. And we come back to Red 15, 20 years later, and he's still grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Meanwhile, Green, she took the time to build a foundation, to put solid processes and systems and procedures in place so that she could hire and train and onboard and leverage the talents of people who have skills and abilities and interests that she doesn't have. And she built a intake machine, and she built a marketing machine, and she built a system for paralegals to really do amazing work, repeatedly, predictably, reliably, and profitably. And she built a system for how to hire, train, manage, and make a profit with attorneys. And now we come back and we find Green in her 5th year of practice. Red, in his 5th year of practice, is still grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. And he's like fighting for every nickel every year. And every year he starts off with nothing. Green, she built a business that works for her. And she's got $1 million business, $1.5 million business. No reason it can't be a $2 million business, sincerely, for real. And the best part of it is she's got a staff that keeps running the business, because the systems run the business and the staff run the systems. And Green invested in that in the beginning. And Red is just grinding and grinding and grinding. So it's fucking it is the most profitable thing you can do when you're starting your law firm. You know, Abraham Lincoln is famous for having said, if you give me 3 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to invest the first 2 hours sharpening my axe. I'm going to spend the first 2 hours, I'm going to invest the first 2 hours preparing. So when it comes time to start doing the work, when it comes time to start doing the chopping, I'm using the sharpest blade possible, and I can make easy work of it. When we put the right processes and systems and procedures in place in the beginning and give you a solid foundation to run your business in, you can build a business on that foundation, which is not how most lawyers do it. So what was the last guess?
Dina.
And it was too expensive for those trying to spend money to start a law firm.
Dina, I want you to look up the definition of the word. You want me to drag this over here?
Yeah, that's actually
I
great.
want you to look up the definition.
We're live.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. I want you to look up the definition of the word expense. Cost. Price. And then look up the definition of the word expensive. And look up the definition of the word value. The word expense does not mean the same thing as the word expensive. The word expense means the same thing as the word cost and the word price. Expense, cost, and price, these are synonyms. They all mean the same thing. An expense is just an expense. An expense is just based on a price. A price is the cost. Expensive is a function of value. Is it too expensive to invest $1 if you're going to get back 5? No, it's not. $1 is just the expense. If I offered to sell you a car for $1 million, would you say that's an expensive car? Dina? Or anyone? Offer to sell you a car for $1 million, would you say that's an expensive car?
We'll give her time to respond.
I'm waiting for anyone to respond. Apparently no one's responding. So what's the next question?
So we want to make sure we get to introduce Tanya and our special guest for today, but before
Dina
we
said
do
yes.
that, Dina said yes.
No, it's not. You can't ask, I mean, it might be, it might not be. Dina, I want you to really pay attention, and everyone, please pay attention. You can't fall into this trap. That was a trap. It's a mindset trap. It's a mindset trap that I have seen thousands and thousands and thousands of lawyers fall into and remain stuck deep inside of this mindset trap. When someone asks you, is that expensive? Or is that too expensive? You can't answer the question. It's an impossible question to answer without asking a question in return, which is compared to what? That's expensive. Compared to what? It's an original 1938 Bugatti, and you can buy it for $1 million. Is that expensive? No. The last one went for auction for like more than $10 million. If you can buy that car for only $1 million, even if it's beat to shit, you buy it. And if you can't find $1 million to buy that car, you call me because I'll bring $1 million and we'll go halves on the profits. That's a great investment. That's a great value. $1 million is just an expense. It's not expensive if you're getting great value for it. You gotta learn to run your law firm based on value, not based on cost. When you run your law firm based on cost, you bring false economy, all kinds of decisions that hold you back and slow you down and make your law firm run like shit. Also, and I know we're not supposed to get into sales yet, but when you fail to clearly distinguish between expenses and expensive, guess who else is liable to make the same mistake? All your clients. All your clients are going to make a mistake, and they're going to say, well, $5,000 to handle my case, that's too expensive. And if you don't understand the distinction between the word expense and expensive, you will accept that answer from them. And you'll say, well, okay, I guess I understand. Or worse, you'll start pounding and pounding and pounding on them. And then you got one of these things going on with your clients, which is not good. But if you can just sort of step aside, let the statement go past you, and step back in and say, okay, you believe that $5,000 for my services to solve this giant problem that you've got in your life that's ruining your life or stands in the way of you living this much better life. You're telling me that's too expensive. Let me ask you a question. Expensive compared to what? Expensive compared to all the problems you just spent the last 30 minutes telling me you have? Expensive compared to all of the hopes and dreams and goals and plans that you're never going to achieve until we resolve this issue? Expensive compared to what? Now, when you handle the sales conversation, the way that we're going to teach you, I think it's tomorrow or the next day, how to handle the sales conversation, you're not going to have this kind of confrontational relationship with your prospective clients. And you're going to be able to train your employees not to have these kinds of confrontational relationships with their clients. And it goes much more smoothly. It's much more professional. It's very ethical. It's much more profitable. It's just a better way to go through life. But you've got to make a distinction between these two words. These two words mean very, very different things. Expense and expensive. They don't mean the same thing. They do not mean the same thing. And once you really discipline your mind and pay attention to these, you're going to be like shocked at how many people you see going through life for the rest of your life, how many people you see going through life confusing these two concepts to their great detriment, to their great misfortune. All right.
So we need to introduce Tanya, but before we do that, one more important question came in from Tony. Said, you sent out a survey. I responded. Are you going to be offering this program?
Right. So we decided to do this. So no one's guessed why we
Oh, yeah.
suspended the program in 2019. A 10-year run of success, 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 success. A 10-year run. That's 10 years. 4 cohorts per quarter. That's 40 cohorts. Some quarters we were doing 2 and even 3 cohorts per quarter, especially towards the end. We probably run 40, we must have run 50, 60 cohorts with an average of 12 to 15 law firms. So 50 times 15 is 500, 750 law firms through this program.
Yeah.
Profitably. And I can't think of anyone who ever asked for a refund. We offered 100% money back. We offered a 100% money back refund for 10 years. And I'm not saying no one ever asked for a refund. I'm just saying it must have been so infrequent that I literally can't even remember a single instance of someone asking for a refund. And I can only think of one person that I ever kicked out of the program for violating how to manage a small law firm policy number 1.
Oh, we got another guess based off of what you just said.
Why did we stop doing this after 10 years of success?
Well, what you just said, Tony said, I got it. It was burnout.
Nope, wasn't burnout either. Sorry, Tony. It wasn't burnout. Because I wasn't running it in the last several years, so I wasn't burned out at all.
But
I built the machine, I built the system, I hired amazing people who did a great job running it, and then we suspended it in 2019. This is gonna happen to your law firm, pay attention. I made millions of dollars on this program, and then in 2019, I suspended it. And this is gonna happen to your law firm too.
But you're going to be teaching it this
Did anyone
time.
hear this?
Yeah.
I need this as like a sound effect. I'll be teaching it this first time.
Yes.
Just to knock the rust off.
David Frazier wants to, his guess is you wanted to pause and assess where you were and figure out how to continue growing.
Oh my God, David, I wish the answer was that.
Alana's guess is good.
What's Alana's guess?
Bored, question mark?
No,
So why?
we just stopped. There's no reason why. There's no logic, there's no intelligence, there's no strategy. It was just pure dumbassery. One quarter, we just stopped and never got back to it. I don't know why. It's inexplicable. It's completely inexplicable. There's no good reason. There's no logic. It was just anything I tell you as to why is going to be pure bullshit. The only honest answer is we just stopped. There was no good reason why. There was no strategic reason why. We weren't bored. It was profitable. People were asking us, we just didn't do it. I don't know why. It just, holy shit, that was, what was 2019? How many years
7 years ago.
That was 7 years ago. I don't know why. We just stopped. Here's the point. You're going to have a marketing campaign in your law firm. Mark my words. Mark my words. You're going to have a marketing campaign in your law firm. And it's going to be working and working and working. And then you're just going to stop doing it for some reason. You're going to have an intake procedure that's working and working and working. And then for some reason, your staff is going to stop doing it. You're going to have a billing process that works and works and works. And then you're going to go off and look at something else. And for no reason at all, your staff will just stop doing it. You're going to have a procedure that you've set up for how to open files. And it works, and it works, and it works, and it works really well. And for no reason that makes any sense at all, your staff will just stop it. I don't know why they're going to stop it. They'll just stop. They're going to stop doing the marketing that works. They're going to stop doing the intake that works. They're going to stop doing the file matriculation procedures that work. They're gonna stop following policies that work. They're gonna stop using checklists that work. They're gonna stop using templates that work. They're gonna stop doing billing mechanisms that work. They're just gonna stop. And there's no logical reason why. And this is part of why it's so important to understand the role of a chief operating officer in a business. Because a chief operating officer's job in a law firm is to make sure that the systems keep working, the systems keep working, the systems keep working, the systems keep getting refined, the systems keep getting refined, the systems keep getting refined, the systems keep getting improved, the systems keep getting improved, the systems keep getting improved, the systems keep getting tested, the systems keep getting tested, the systems keep getting tested, then the systems keep getting implemented, the systems keep getting implemented. And if you're bored out of your mind, you're beginning to understand why a good professional legal administrator or a good chief operating officer, which is the same thing. In the corporate world, we call them chief operating officers. In the legal world, they're called professional legal administrators. You're beginning to understand why they're worth their weight in gold. Because they build the processes, they build the systems, they build the procedures, they build the infrastructure that makes the firm work like a real business, makes it work like a machine. And then they maintain and maintain and maintain. And while everyone's bored out of their mind and looking for the next shiny object, the chief operating officer is standing back and they're maintaining and improving and maintaining and improving and maintaining and improving. They keep the trains running on time so that the dreamers and the crazy people can go off and put our dent in the universe. But we wouldn't be able to put our dent in the universe if the chief operating officers didn't keep the machine running. And for some reason, people just stop doing things that keep working. Have you ever been going to the gym and everything's going great, and for no reason, you just one day you stop going to the gym, and then one day you wake up and you realize, holy shit, it's been a year I haven't gone to the gym. Why? I mean, I've done that. We all do that. And this is the point. You've got to be aware of this dynamic, this weird, inexplicable aspect of human nature that for some reason that makes no sense, we just stop doing things that are working. And I know that it sounds like I'm beating on this point, but it's just because I really care deeply. I care deeply about why we do what we do. And I know that this causes a lot of heartache and grief and embarrassment and self-recrimination and costs. Look, if you got $1 million law firm and you don't have someone protecting the firm from this happening, it could easily be costing the firm $50,000 a year of just pure wasted profits. If you got a $500,000 law firm, it could easily be costing the firm $25,000, $30,000 a year of pure wasted profits. If you've got a $100,000 or $200,000 law firm, probably this isn't costing the firm anything because everything is so fresh and new, and the ink hasn't dried yet. But I just want to plant this seed in your mind because I just, why I do what I do, it's really important that you don't forget this stuff. Okay. All right, next question, and then are we ready to go?
Yeah, so Tony sent again that asked about the survey. Are we going to be doing the course?
Survey, yeah. So here's the deal. I would like to start this program again. We manage over 500 law firms. Obviously, none of them were candidates for this program. Obviously, right? They're not going to participate in a 12-week intensive crash course on how to start a successful law firm in 90 days or less. They already have successful law firms. They're working with us. We're managing their law firms for them. So we decided to do this live stream really because it's been a long time since I've talked about and taught these materials. It forced my team to dig all of the content and all the workbooks and all the tools and all the resources and all the checklists and all the templates out of storage, if you will. And we realized there's a few things we gotta like seriously update that were like circa 2018, 2019 that are really completely out of date. But I gotta tell you, like 98.75% of what we taught in 2009, it stands the test of time today. If you participate in the program, you will hear the actual audio recordings of me teaching this from back in 2009. It still stands the test of time. And there will be some parts where we'll create brand new content. Obviously, technology has changed. Zoom wasn't a thing back then. Pandemic? What pandemic? That was 2000. Anyway, so the answer to the question is we decided to do this live stream just to kind of gauge interest and to see if I like teaching it, if there's any interest in doing it. So we did a survey and we put the survey out there. And if there's enough interest, then yes, we will do this program again. And we will kick it off with a 2-day live in person. You and me and the other 11 participants in the cohort. We might go to 15, so it might be you and me and the other 14 participants in the cohort. And I would very much encourage you to bring your spouse or significant other or someone who has a real vested interest in the success of your law firm. We're going to be meeting for 2 days live in person. Where?
Chicago. Chicago.
In
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
When?
May
April
29th.
May 28th and 29th.
May 28th and 29th, live in Chicago for 2 full days to lay down the first foundational layer of paint, if you will. This is the primer, where we lay down the primer on your marketing, and we lay down the primer on your intake, and we lay down the primer for your sales, and we lay down the primer for your key internal policies, and your key external policies, and your key operational procedures. And we lay down the primer for the different roles that you're going to be wearing the hat yourself in the beginning, probably. But how those jobs should be done by you in the beginning and documented by you so that when the time comes to hire them, you can hire someone with confidence to know that you've got a way of training them and holding them accountable and that they can't pull the wool over your eyes because you've done these jobs. And we're going to put down the foundation of financial controls for your law firm. And of course, we'll teach you how to set up and manage your IOLTA client property trust account. And we'll do that in 2 days. And then every week for the next 12 weeks, you will get a lesson to listen to. You don't have to watch it. You'll listen to it while you're driving around, while you're walking your dog, while you're exercising, while you're doing whatever you're doing. You'll listen to the lesson. And then at the end of the lesson, there will be an assignment. And the assignment is not a test, it's an assignment. It will be basically saying, implement what we just told you how to implement using these tools and these resources that we're giving. Here are the tools, here are the resources, here's the samples, here's the templates, here's all the things you need to make this concept or idea uniquely yours based on the lessons and the ideas that we just finished teaching you. And then you take your best run at implementing that part of the business plan and that part of the law firm. And then we get on live every week. Do we decide what day it's going to be?
It's up to them.
It's up to them.
No, that's part of the survey.
Yeah.
Do you want to meet on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays? I don't want to meet on the weekend, and I'm not going to meet on Mondays, and I'm not going to meet on Fridays. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, And as part of the survey, we'll decide what day it's going to be. And we meet live for typically about 2 to 2.5 hours every week, live with me on a Zoom, where it's completely interactive, and I'm helping you figure out how to answer the question when someone says, what do you do? So you got a good, solid answer that is the seed that's gonna help you grow the rest of your business. And I'll help you develop your marketing plan, and I'll help you develop your intake system, and I'll help you role play sales calls so you get really comfortable with it. And I'll help you think through different policies, and I'll role play out those policies with you so you can understand why some of the very counterintuitive things that we're going to advise you to do, why they are the way why they work, and why a lot of things that are like conventional wisdom that you probably heard from like thousands and thousands of other struggling law firm owners, why it doesn't work, and why our way, the way that I've just seen work for 25 years for thousands and thousands of lawyers, simple stuff. This is not rocket science. This is just, conventional wisdom meets real world reality of having actually done it again and again and again. And if you just do it a little bit differently, you sidestep and avoid so many problems. If you do it the way everyone else does, look, Zig Ziglar once said, and I love this quote, he said, if you want to get extraordinary results, you can't do what everyone else is doing. You can't do what everyone else is doing and expect to get unusual, extraordinary results. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're going to get pretty much the same result everyone else gets. And if you want to get a 60-hour-a-week prison, and if you want to get slow growth, and if you want to get unpredictable profits, and if you want to get stressed out, and if you want to have staff that you can't really depend on, do what everyone else does. If you want to get really extraordinary results, do what our members do. Which, by the way, the 12-week program comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. And at that 2-day kickoff, you will have the opportunity to meet hundreds and hundreds of our members who will be at the same venue for different workshops, working on different aspects of their law firm. But you're going to be having coffee breaks with them, you're going to be having lunch breaks with them, you're going to be having dinner with them, you're going to be bumping into them in the halls, and you're going to walk up to someone who looks just like you, and you're going to say, hey, is this for real? And they're going to say, yes, and I wish I had got help from how to manage a small law firm sooner. And then you're going to walk up to someone else and you say, hey, I'm really scared. Is this going to work? And they're going to say, it's going to work. Listen to what they're saying. And if you've come away from that meeting and you're not completely comfortable that this is the right decision for you, just ask for your money back. Don't waste the next 12 weeks of your life. But what's going to happen, I'm pretty sure, especially if you have the courage to bring your spouse or significant other with you, is you're going to come out of this thing and you're going to know that you're on the right track.
Okay, 2 things real quick. One, we're already getting great submissions on the survey. That's in the comments. If they have not filled it out yet, they can click the survey link.
You can just point right down.
Go to the survey.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
right below you.
Go to the survey.
And the second thing is we led you straight. It's not in Chicago. It's in Orlando, May 28th and 29th.
Fuck, everyone almost went to Chicago.
I know.
To meet Orlando,
Yes, sir.
May.
28th and 29th. We got, because LQM.
Orlando, May 28th and 29th.
Mhm.
Chicago is where we are going to be
LQM.
next week
Yes.
for one of our live quarterly meetings, where I think we are currently almost at, or maybe beyond capacity.
We have overflow hotels now.
We have an overflow hotel.
Yep.
We'll have about, of our 500 law firms that we have to manage, I think we got about 250 or 300 registered that will be at this live quarterly meeting. And unfortunately, no one guessed why we stopped the Start a Successful Law Firm program in 90 days or less
Because the grand prize.
Because had you guessed correctly, I would have let you come to the live quarterly meeting.
For free.
Wah, wah.
Tanya is
Maybe
waiting.
there's a way for someone to like win their way in to the live quarterly meeting, if there's interest.
We have a couple other questions, but
Right.
Let's
we're
introduce
gonna
Tanya.
we'll introduce Tanya, and then a lot of these questions actually apply to sales day. So I think we should ask them then.
Okay.
Tanya.
All right, Tanya,
Hello, everybody.
don't we also have,
We have a special guest.
We have a special guest who was smiling the entire time you were talking about policies and procedures. And I also noticed that, Tanya, you have a new name today.
I'm expanding my name every day. It started as Tanya, then it went to Tanya Music. But the truth is, I'm Tanya fucking Music. And so I didn't want to offend anybody by swearing in my name. I just added in my
you know who's going to be offended by your swearing?
who?
People who are very, very nice people, and there's nothing wrong with them being offended by our language, but they're not our people. They're not people who are going to get their hands on a copy of our statement of values and philosophy and
Get
read it.
past the first page.
Right? They're not going to get past page, well, they're certainly not going to get past firm policy number 1. Can they see firm policy number 1?
No,
Or should I
no,
go
sure.
closer- Or should I go closer to the camera?
Way closer.
Tell me when.
More.
Way closer.
More.
Closer.
I have a better idea.
This is not going to
Read
work.
it.
There
Just
you go.
read it.
There you go.
If anybody wants a copy of this,
Are they seeing that?
They're seeing that. What's firm policy number 1?
No assholes.
no assholes. If you want to read it more clearly, just say you want it. We'll drop the link in the chat.
If you want a copy, so you can get a digital copy, but I would also be happy sincerely. I think it's valuable to have it in your hand. I think it's valuable to sit. If you're a morning person like me, you wake up early in the morning before the house comes alive, before the day gets going, and you get like a nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and you sit with this in a quiet space in your house, and you just hold it in your hands and read. And what's going to happen is you're either going to think that, wow, these people believe what I believe, and they value what I value, and they see the world in a way that really matches the way that I see the world. Or you're going to think we're complete fucking raving lunatics. There's also a possibility you might think that we're all fucking lunatics, just like you.
Right. You can see both, and then you really are our people, maybe.
You know the difference. Was it Picasso? I think it was. No, it wasn't Picasso. It was
Monet?
what?
Monet?
No, it was the guy with the mustache.
Handlebar mustache?
Not Picasso.
Dolly?
Dali.
Salvador Dali.
Said,
Yeah.
Dali said the difference between crazy people and me is I'm not crazy.
For the record, I just got your reference. It was a cultural reference, and I got it.
Being crazy. What she said?
She said it's a cultural reference and she just got it.
What? Dali?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have Dali in Canada? He's like a world
No, I
impressionist artist.
never get your movie references, your song references,
This is
your
a reference. This is
references.
the song.
Please
This
stop.
has nothing to do with
Stop
art.
bringing up music.
This
Do
is-
not bring up music,
this is
Miss Music.
Art. This is art. This is just art. Someone look up Dolly. Put a picture of Dolly on the screen. Dolly. Dolly. Oh my God.
You don't want to know when I put DALE in.
D-A-L-I.
Not how you spell his name.
This is why you need me to make all of these cultural references to help you. This is why
I know who Dolly is.
the poetry, the right books, the right shows.
Anywho, moving right along.
Start a business entitled "How to Be Cool Like Me." And
Yeah, and I'm going to start one about how to be cool like me.
Ayn Rand objectivism, Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. I mean, come on, read the right books, study the right philosophers, read the right poems, listen to the right music, listen to the lyrics, listen to the right lyrics of the right music, look at the right art, have a philosophy, have a compelling reason why you do what you do. Have a set of core values that you can put out into the world and say, these are my core values. Take them or leave them. You're not changing me. These are my core values. When you can do that, you will recruit the right people. You will repel the wrong people. The right kind of clients will come to you and be attracted to you. The wrong kind of clients will go away from you. Lead with your philosophy. Lead with your point of view. Lead with your values. Lead with your core with your core values. And I promise you, the right people will find their way to you. The right employees will find their way to you. The right vendors will find their way to you. The right clients will find their way to you. The right referral sources will find their way to you. The right people will find their way to you. And the wrong people, they will save themselves the time, and they won't waste your time, and they won't waste your staff's time because you're the wrong firm for them. And that doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them not your people. Do you respect yourself enough to, are you high enough on the chain of evolution to respect your brothers and your sisters and focus on perfecting yourself in your own peculiar way? Bonus points for anyone who's cool enough to get that reference. All right. Tons of music.
You got a guess too.
What is your job here at How to Manage? Say it quickly. We got to get to our guest.
My job is to work with every one of our members and make sure they're getting what they need to meet their goals. I send them the resources. I find out what's going on with them. I talk to their advisors. I make sure they're successful.
Tanya has a big financial interest in making sure that all of our members are making measurable, tangible, real progress quarter by quarter by quarter by quarter towards their financial goals, their personal goals, and their professional goals. When your firm achieves a certain scale or a certain size, you will want to install this kind of a position in your business too. And then it will just shift gears into a whole new level. Which brings us to our guest, Clarissa.
No.
Nicole.
Nicole. It was supposed to be Clarissa. You switched it up on me.
You did.
I'm not looking at a monitor or anything.
He's looking straight.
I'm literally just looking straight at a camera lens. I have no monitor. I have no nothing. I am up here without a net.
And we're live.
Nicole Hanscom,
Hello.
my trusted advisor,
The person who smiles biggest when you talk about policies and procedures.
So Nicole is the chief operating. So we serve as the chief operating officer for hundreds of some of the most well managed and most successful small law firms anywhere, bar none. Nicole is the chief operating officer of the company. Nicole is my chief operating officer. Nicole, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Would you mind just sharing your
I heard-
that got
Yeah,
you
I
here?
heard it, policies and procedures was the topic. So I said, you're going to have to keep me away. I started in Tampa.
Put together the wrong impression. Why were people trying to keep Nicole away?
Because she's very important.
Let's get to it. In all seriousness, tell everyone your background, because I think it helps put a lot of this stuff into perspective so that people can have a better understanding of why we do what we do.
So I started talk about big law. It wasn't a big private law firm, though. It was a big government law firm that had offices all around the state of Florida. The office that I worked in primarily, the Tampa office, had 300, by the time I left, had 300 something people, half of which were lawyers. And I worked with the coordination office that did all 20 of the firms in the state. So ultimately we had about 3,000 lawyers that we were responsible for training and providing systems for. And so after doing that and really growing up in that business and being an operations director in that business, I took off on my own and started a small law firm. And lo and behold, I wound up in a workshop with R. John Robbins, teaching us how to create our very first business plan for a new small law firm, starting a new law firm.
That was in what year, roundabout?
That was in 2016. That was in 2016. That was 10 years ago.
Wow. All right.
Almost to the day. That would have been at the April 2016 live quarterly meeting. So which was, so it wasn't Palm Springs. It would have been January. Yeah. I missed the Palm Springs LQM because I was in HTMU. Because after
was
anyway.
Pro tip, don't ever host an event in the same city
As
the
Coachella?
that they're running Coachella. Weird shit.
What kind of weird shit?
All kinds of weird.
It's a weird vibe. And so then I realized after owning a business and being a lawyer and running a business and being a lawyer and running a law firm, that when you said, let the people run the machine, and get out of our way, I was so happy to get out of the way of the big ideas and the marketing and really focus on the excellence of running a law firm. And that is what I still love.
Let me stop you right there for a second. Because I think that a lot of people are discouraged when they start hearing us talk about how important policies, procedures, checklists, templates, add them all together and you get systems. Policies, procedures, checklists, templates, you add them all together, they give them systems. I think a lot of people get discouraged when they hear about all this stuff and how much maintenance is involved in keeping them going, because a lot of law firm owners, like, that's the last thing they want to do. And I think that they don't understand that there's a whole group of amazing, brilliant, successful, highly professional people. There's a whole profession of people who love that.
I love it. Tanya did it. I did it. Like I was a professional for 20 years. I was a professional second in command. And I was a right-hand person. And when you're starting a small law firm, you don't need a me to be that professional second in command right-hand person. You just need somebody when you're small, when you're under 20 people, under $1 million, you just need someone that you trust and who cares enough to like, oh, you just said that, let me write it down so I don't have to ask you again. Right? Like my job, one of my very first jobs at the public defender's office was I walked around with a notepad, and every time somebody explained how to do something, I just wrote it down. And then at the end of the day, I typed it all up and I said, look, here's the procedure on how to do X, Y, Z. And then, or here's how to open a file, or here's how to create a new person in the computer system. And then the next time we trained somebody, we printed out that procedure that I had typed up and we made notes on it. And then I made the changes, and then we made notes on it. And then I made the changes, and we kept just iterating it until it got better. And it wasn't the elected public defender who was doing it. It wasn't the felony bureau chief who was doing it. They were off being brilliant lawyers and brilliant administrators and community activists and fundraisers. And I was very, very happy to be the best documenter, systems understander, templatizer in the office. Yes, you guys don't believe it, but there are people like me who love this shit, even starting at 20 years old. So that's my background. And then I came to How to Manage, started working as a COO with our members. Worked with about 60 members as a COO, started working as a chief executive officer. Overall, I think for about 7 years, I worked with a few hundred of our members. And then I made the switch to start training and managing and developing the back office systems.
So back in the day when we were young and fresh-eyed and, you know, when we started
Advising members together. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. What, like I was saying last week, my favorite members were the members who were like, I like people starting their law firms and like getting to work with them on that mind shift of lawyer, no, business owner, and figuring out how to balance out the time. What did you love? Who were your favorite members to really, what was your favorite part and what'd you like to get dirty with the members?
Can I have two favorites?
We'll see.
I have
I'll
two-
evaluate
I have
after I hear the
two
first.
favorites.
Okay.
My first favorite is just like yours. It was the people who were starting a brand new law firm. And I liked it because they hadn't had a chance to screw anything up really bad yet. We had a blank slate or a blank slate that we could work with. We could teach, we could help them get started right. My other very favorite are the folks who were on the cusp of like going from like $1 million to 2 million. Because those people are learning running a $2 million business is not like running two $1 million businesses. It's about to get exponentially weird. And I like to help navigate that. So I like working with the really new firms when you can teach the best practices. You can say, I know you've heard it should be done that way. Let's try it this way. And they're not too far down the road on anything yet. It was just one of my favorite groups of members to ever work with.
Yeah.
All right, so today, as you might imagine, we're here to talk about the underrated, I think not that exciting, but obviously the whole thing is very exciting. I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm being really sincere. I think a lot of lawyers make a great mistake of thinking that the things that they like, everyone else is going to like, and the things that they don't like, no one else will like. And so they end up hiring a bunch of people just like them, and they surround themselves with a whole bunch of people who have their same strengths. But then what they wind up with is an unbalanced organization because everyone's got the same weaknesses too. And what you want to do is you want to strategically plan your org chart and make sure your first hire probably has strengths where you have weaknesses. And chances are they may have some weaknesses where you have strengths, and then you can complement one another. But this is not how most people do it. The way that most people do it is they go, oh, I like you. You like me. We like it. I mean, Nicole and I like each other a lot. We joke around. We joke around a lot. We have a lot of fun together. But we see the world in very, very different ways. And she's got strengths that I marvel at some of her strengths. Like I am in awe of some of your strengths, Nicole. You know that. And Now take this in the same spirit of admiration and affection and appreciation. I also sometimes am kind of in awe that things that are so obvious and easy to me, how could they not be so obvious and easy to you? You're brilliant. You're amazing. You're terrific. How could this not be obvious to you? But you probably think the same thing. I know you think the same thing about how does he not see this, right?
Or how do you see it that way? Yeah, like you've said that to me on more than one occasion. That's the question you choose to ask right now? That's the thing we're focused on? I'm like, well, yeah, that's the step I have to do next. You're like, how about we decide whether we should do this, and then let's go decide how to do it, right? Some of us skip those steps, and some of us have the different strengths.
Our hope is giving everyone watching this a little bit of a glimpse or an insight into why it's so important that you have advisors. And look, this isn't a commercial that you have to work with how to manage a small law firm. We have a waiting list. You might not get the opportunity to work with us. You might be on our waiting list, and you might be sitting in our waiting room taking advantage of all the great tools and resources which you get for free while you're in the waiting room. You might be getting advice from other people. But the point I'm making is you need to make sure that whoever you have advising you, guiding you, counseling you, helping you, that they're not duplicating and magnifying your blind spots. You got to make sure you got people who see things you don't see. And usually those people are going to annoy you in the beginning until you learn to really appreciate what they bring, because they're going to slow you down and make you stop and think about things that you don't want to think about. They're going to make you slow down and consider things that you don't like to consider. They're going to make you slow down and figure out how things are going to work when you just want to live up here in big idea land. But they're going to protect you. They're going to give you the tools and the resources and help you build the foundation. And you're going to wake up one day, and when the shit isn't hitting the fan, you're going to be really grateful that you made the investment to make sure that you surrounded yourself with these kinds of people. All right, let's get to policies and procedures and checklists and templates and systems. And first, let's talk vocabulary. So, Nicole, let's talk about the difference between a policy and a procedure, because people who don't know often use them interchangeably, and they're not. They're very, very different. What is a policy?
The policy is the rules, the guidelines, the standards. When you have a policy, that to me is the less changeable piece, right? Policies and procedures, people talk about how they get outdated very easily. I think the policy, your standard, your guidelines, your rules, that's what the owner wants, that stands in place of the owner. And it doesn't change with the technology. The standard of service that you want to deliver, the core values that you have in your firm, the things that motivate you to make the decisions that you make, your criteria, those things don't change with the technology. So your policy is the why you do what you do. The policy is the why this rule or this standard matters.
An employee ought to be able to make a decision, and as long as they make a decision that's consistent with the policy, I could choose red, you could choose green, someone else in the firm could choose blue. If the policy is you should pick a primary, well,
Those are all primary colors. Yeah.
You should pick a primary color.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's red or green or blue, it doesn't matter which one you pick. And just because I would have chosen red and Nicole would have chosen blue and Tanya would have chosen green, I can't argue, I can't criticize. The employee
Right.
used the policy as a shield to say, listen, the policy is we use primary colors. The policy does not specify which primary colors. I chose a different primary color than you chose. You can't fire me. You can't criticize me. You can't punish me. You can't hold this against me. If you really, really, really cared about using red, then you gotta update the policy and not just say primary colors, say red.
Right.
All right.
That's it.
Another example of a policy. I talk a lot about how I can and often am away from this business for 30 consecutive days with emergency access only. I'm away from this business for 30 consecutive days with emergency access only several times every year. And while I'm gone, the marketing keeps going without me, the intake keeps going without me, we keep signing up new members without me being there. 500 law firm owners get great value and great service. So the services keep getting produced and delivered without me. All 7 main parts of the business keep going without me because everyone knows that as long as they're making decisions that are consistent with our rules, that are consistent with our standards, that are consistent with our core values, and honor the reason why we do what we do, all will be forgiven if you do it differently than I might have done. That's what gives people the confidence and the freedom to step up and do amazing work for you. All right.
Can you help me understand and help my ignorance? Why is the why involved in a policy and procedure?
It's what makes it relevant to it's what, why are we even talking to you about this? Why is this important enough for us to write down?
Let's suppose there is a policy that, a dress code policy.
Mhm.
And the dress code policy is we wear a tie in the office.
Mhm.
Okay, the dress code policy is that men are expected to wear a tie in the office, and I'm not fashion forward enough to know what the equivalent is for everyone else. But let's just say the policy is that men are supposed to wear a tie in the office. Yes?
Yes.
Why? Why are men supposed to wear a tie in the office? Are men supposed to wear a tie in the office because men are supposed to wear a tie in the office? And the reason why men are supposed to wear a tie in the office because men are supposed to wear a tie in the office, and that's just the reason why? Because if that's the reason why, 20 years later, even if fashion has changed, even if traditions have changed, even if standards have changed, even if the world has changed, you still got men running around with ties in the office when the world has now gone to a place where, everyone's working from home and you have a home office and you got men working from home with a tie. It makes no sense, right? But if the why is men are supposed to wear a tie in the office because we want to project an air of professionalism and seriousness of purpose, and we want clients to know that we present ourselves in a professional way and that we're not sloppy. And we believe that when you dress up a little bit, it helps with your headspace and you're more on point. And that's our reason why. Yeah. Now, let's say this policy was implemented in like the 1970s, right? When people tended to be much more formal, and neckties were an expression of formality and seriousness of purpose. Well, now it's 2026, right? Now you got, billionaires walking around with hoodies and sweatshirts. And, you know, a necktie isn't necessarily the only, and in some cases, not even the best way to show professionalism and seriousness of purpose. But now you got an office where everyone's still running around wearing neckties because no one bothered to understand the reason why the policy was what it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just like
Or they
in goals.
just made a rule that everybody in the firm had to wear a necktie. Yeah, well, it says here you got to wear neckties. So yes, the women are wearing ties and the men are wearing ties, and you don't stop and think about why it's being applied and how to think about what you're doing.
If you give me a little bit more time, I'll get on the chat, or maybe tomorrow. I can think of a lot of examples of policies that were implemented in a different age, in a different time when things were different.
Well,
We're still doing them because no one stops to think of the reason why they were done in the first place.
If you want to hear those tomorrow, just drop Y in the chat and we'll keep moving on to policies and procedures.
This is not the same why that we were talking about the other day
Right.
at lunch,
Mhm.
where we really talked about how to manage, why we do what we do, why we give a shit about doing what we do. That's a different kind of why. That's not the why we're talking about. Nicole, policies. Let's talk about procedures. What's a procedure?
the procedure is synonymous with recipe. The procedure is the step-by-step. I like to call it the WDWBW. I actually have that tattooed. It's the who does what by when. Yeah, I heard a giggle. Yeah, it's
Sorry.
I heard that. The procedure is who does what by when. What are the steps you take? How long should you do it for? How many times a week should you do it? That's the magic of the procedure. And the procedure can and should change as your tools change. The procedure should accomplish how do we create the standard of work that we've defined in our policy, and what tools are we going to use? Who's going to do what by when and with what tools? It's the recipe on the back of the Betty Crocker box, plain and simple. The procedures are the relatively easy part.
There's a law firm policy book somewhere, Justin, that says it shall be the policy of this firm that clients will always receive a fax to let them know about blah, 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 blah. And that is the policy of this firm, right? And when you become a client of this firm, you can be sure that our policy is we're always going to send you a fax to give you a heads up of blah, 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 blah. Absent why, Justin, absent why, it's now 2025 and people run around trying to find a fax machine.
Yeah.
And
What's that? I literally,
What's
what's that?
Or the
What's-
policy says everyone should use a fax, and then the procedure now says you write it, scan it, email it, take a shot of it with your phone, and everybody's like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
We've literally had law firms doing how to manage small law firm, and they're literally doing that. When we audit their policies, when we audit their procedures, and we see how the firm is going, they're literally emailing things and then printing them and then faxing them, which nobody even has a fax machine, so they're scanning them in order to e-fax them because someone's following a procedure that's way outdated because they never bothered. When they created the procedure, they didn't anchor it in the why. When you anchor it in the why, then you constantly ask, is this still relevant? Does this still make sense given the original intention, why behind it? So policies are rules, standards, why we're doing what we're doing, our core values. Procedures are the recipe. Procedures are the step-by-step instructions for how we're going to do things. If you look at the side of a Betty Crocker cake mix, the step one, you crack the egg. Step 2, you mix the flour. Step 3, you add the milk. Step 4, you stir until all the lumps go away. Step 5, you put butter in the pan. Step 6, you put it in the pan. Step 7, you preheat the oven. Those are procedures. Policies are, why are we making a cake in the first place? Make sense?
Yep.
All right, so we have policies, and we've got procedures. Now we've got checklists. What's a checklist or a template or a sample? Checklist.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, the checklist.
The checklist is a list of things to check off.
So
So it's a quick list, right?
Us, because we live in this world. But
Right. The checklist is the quick list.
listen, there's 100,000 law firms right now that do not understand what templates and checklists and samples are, or if they understand what they are, then how the fuck do you explain the complete absence of them using checklists and templates and samples? Either they're reckless, crazy, irresponsible morons who just want to piss money down the toilet, or they don't really understand what checklists, templates, and samples actually are. Which do you think it is?
I'm gonna offer another suggestion. They understand what they are, but not how to leverage them within their firm.
I'm telling you, I don't think they even have any idea what a checklist actually is.
Okay.
They might
Or
have
what
an idea
Or
what a
what
check-
should be in it.
generally speaking, they might have a general idea of what a template is. They might have, they know the word sample means, but I don't think they really know what a sample is. So, Nicole, what's a checklist? What is a checklist? What is really a template? What is really a sample?
So the checklist, take that procedure that tells who's going to do what by when and how much goes into the recipe and gives you all of the details, and bullet point it out into something that can be literally added and checked off. With you leave out some of the nitty gritty details and you do the big picture. Make sure this step flows from A to B to C to D. And you actually, if you're working smart, you can, if you're working on paper, you can actually check it and check it and check as you move forward. Pilots still have an actual checklist on a clipboard, and that reduces the risk of your plane crashing during flight through the 17 failures.
Before we go 25 miles offshore with the boat too. You don't want to be 25 miles offshore and realize you forgot something.
Right. I have an actual checklist when I pack to go to live quarterly meetings to make sure I have all my stuff.
This is a self-audit.
Yes.
It's how you self-audit to make sure you give your listen, my grandfather, who went to jail a bunch of times, had a saying. And his saying was, locks are meant for honest people. If you're an honest person, you respect it when something is locked. If you're a fucking crook, you break the
Doesn't
lock.
matter anyway.
Anyway, it's like contracts, right? Contracts aren't worth anything if the people signing it have no intention to abide by it and have no honor and have no personal accountability, right? Contract's worthless. A checklist is useless in the hands of a employee who doesn't give a shit, right? You can give checklists and templates and samples all day long to employees who don't give a shit, and it's not gonna do them any good. They're not gonna do any good with it.
They're gonna find a way. They're gonna find a way to work outside of it. Mm-hmm.
But you give a good employee who's got a good, solid, clear, well thought out job description with clear key performance indicators, and you bring them in with a good onboarding plan, a thoughtful, intentional, highly profitable to you onboarding plan, and you equip them with rules and standards that they can understand why things are done the way they're done. And you equip them and empower them with procedures of how we do it around here.
I think there he is.
And then you give them a checklist that they can use to protect themselves so that, hey, before I turn this into the boss and have the boss rip my head off, I'm going to use this little checklist and say, okay, did I do this? Yes. Did I do this? Yes. Did this get done? Yes. Is this in the right place? Yes. Is this up to standards? Yes. Okay, good. Hey, boss, here it is. And then if the boss, and by the boss, I'm referring to you, is having a bad day, and you start bitching and complaining to the employee about how shitty their work is and how bad of a job they did, like, hey, here's your procedures for how it's supposed to be done, and here's the checklist that you gave me, and I didn't miss anything. Listen, if we want to update the procedure, if we want to expand the checklist, we can do that. That's how we can improve the operational efficiency of the firm. But in the meantime, the employee uses this to protect themselves. You got to understand, we as leaders, we need to give, we don't need to. It's just really smart and very profitable and very ethical and very humane. It's the right thing to do. We give our employees the tools and the resources that they need to protect themselves against us. We are the problem. We forget how we said we wanted it done. We forget why we said what we said. We forget we're busy running in 100 different directions, and the employee brings us something, and we had a daydream 3 days ago about a new way of doing things, and in our mind, this is how it's done. But we just never bothered to communicate this to anyone using these things called words, and we just expected them to read our minds, which they don't, and they can't, and they won't. The checklist gives the employee a way of respectfully defending themselves. And maybe when they get to know you a little bit better, maybe not so respectfully defending themselves. But the point I'm making is it's a humane way of leading and managing people. And if you don't give your employees checklists, sorry? Go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish. I was going to add.
Excited. I know you're going to say something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and some processes are really easy. And then some processes have lots and lots and lots and lots of steps. And some filings that you're going to put together are easy. And some filings that you're going to put together have pages and pages in different sections and have to be filed in different sequences. Looking at a procedure that's 13 pages long is as daunting as just trying to go in and do the work. So having what?
Really?
Nicole.
Just go.
What?
And Nicole, can you hear me? And sometimes I'm having a good day. And sometimes I'm not having a good day. And sometimes I'm clear-headed and focused. And some days I'm distracted. And that's what checklists help us. They protect us from our worst days. If you just have one bad day a quarter, because you're fucking better than me, you're a better human being than I am. You're a better spouse, you're a better parent, you're a better human being than me, and you only have one bad day a quarter. Because you're better than me. That's why you only have one bad day a quarter. But on that one bad day a quarter, you're gonna fuck something up. If you have checklists and templates and samples, it prevents you from making that mistake one single time per quarter. And if you can avoid making a $5,000 mistake, even just once a quarter, that's $20,000 a year. Now, if you're a mere mortal like me, and you get distracted a lot because you've got kids and spouses and pets and this thing that people call a life, and you're thinking about marketing and sales and all different parts of running your business, you're liable to make a lot of mistakes, a lot of avoidable, costly, inconvenient mistakes. And if you got to spend 1 or 2 hours a day cleaning up avoidable mistakes, that adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue and profits when it stacks up after a while. And checklists and templates and samples, low tech, paper and ink, low tech checklists. There's never been a technology invented yet, and I stand by it as of today's date. Maybe tomorrow, someone will invent an AI that will be better than a printed piece of paper and a pen or a pencil to use as a checklist. This works better than technology. I'm sorry. This works better than modern technology, because remember, there was a time when this was considered state of the art. Well, what else can we tell everyone about now? Templates. We talk about policies. Policies are the rules, the standards, the why behind the rules, the core values. We talk about procedures. Procedures are synonymous with the recipes, the how-to, step by step how-to, the who does what by when. The checklist is the self-audit that we use to make sure that we haven't forgot something, that we haven't missed something. What's a template?
The template, so I usually talk about examples of good first, because the template is the example of good made so that you can use it over and over and over. The template is the fill in the blank version of this is what your form should look like. This is what your motion should look like. And here's where you put in the information that you're working on. So a template is a fill in the blank. I talk about templates and scripts sort of together in the same conversation, because they're the one that if your checklist says get a copy of a motion or do a certificate of service or have an intake conversation, the template is the tool that you give your staff so that they can get started on that and don't have to start from blank page syndrome.
And last but not least, what's a sample?
So the sample I also call the examples, or the examples of good. And it was one of my favorite things to curate when I was building big libraries, and I even do it now with advisor calls and with certain workshops. You go get a picture, you paint done for them. You give them an example and you say, when you're done, it should look like this. When you're done and it's a good job, it should sound like this. It should look like this. It should be about this thick. This is what it's going to look like when you file it. Whatever those, I have many examples of initial consultations. You give it to them as a training tool so that they know this is what done and this is what good look like.
That way it doesn't get overworked, that way it doesn't get underworked, and that way they have a target to meet.
Yes.
Okay.
When you put all of those together, and then there's another piece, which is the automation. So when you put all of it together, that's your system.
All of this together, you add policy, you take policies and procedures and checklists and samples and examples, you put this all together, and this is called a system. And what I want everyone to understand is that law firm owners, entrepreneurs who own law firms, have been building systems for law firms since before there were the internet, since before there was computers, since before there was even electricity, using pencils and paper. Law firm owners were writing out policies. These are the policies of these are the rules of this firm. These are the standards of this firm. This is why we have the rules that we have. These are our core values. These people were writing this with pencils on paper. People were writing with pencils and paper. Checklists, step 1, step 2, step 3, recipes. People were with pencils and paper giving people checklists for things. They would put the checklist on the wall because there was no printers. There was no photocopy machines. And so when they would literally put the checklist on the wall. They would frame samples and examples of what good looks like so that the clerk, so that the associate, so that the paralegal could go to the wall and say, take what they're working on and put it up against, like, yeah, okay, this looks about good enough. This is how it's supposed to be. This is not AI. This is not modern. AI and software and technology and modern electronic technology, it just makes it easier to do this stuff. Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, people forgot the fundamentals of law firm management. They forgot the fundamentals of making a law firm run like a machine, which is kind of paradoxical, because they got so dependent on the machines, the computers, the software, now AI, that they forgot the fundamentals, and now they let the software make their decisions for them, which is all fine and good if the person who made the software knew how to run a law firm in the first place, which a lot of times they don't. Anyway, don't get me started on bookkeepers who aren't really bookkeepers. Most bookkeepers, I'm getting on a short tangent, sorry. I think it's instructive. Most bookkeepers can't actually do bookkeeping. They don't actually know how to do bookkeeping. They know how to operate QuickBooks. They are QuickBooks operators. They're not bookkeepers. And that doesn't make a difference until it does. Until there's a problem in your bookkeeping, it doesn't matter if they're a QuickBooks operator or a trained bookkeeper. A trained bookkeeper doesn't add any extra value to the bookkeeping function when everything's going right. They don't. A QuickBooks operator can do just as good of a job as a trained, experienced, qualified bookkeeper. Until there's a problem, and then the QuickBooks operator just keeps punching on the keys and doesn't even know that they're like $50,000 off course and headed in the wrong direction. A qualified bookkeeper who will use QuickBooks as a tool, as soon as there's a mistake, as soon as there's a problem, as soon as there's a discrepancy, as soon as the three-way trust account reconciliation doesn't make sense, the trained bookkeeper is going to stop and figure out what's wrong before you get fucked. The QuickBooks operator is just going to be like, click, 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 click.
That's not how you actually type.
Excuse me. The QuickBooks operator is going to be going, click, 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 right? But they're oblivious to when things go off track. And they just keep click, 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 and getting it further and further. I can't tell you how many hundreds of law firms have come to How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And we open up their financials, and it's just like, oh my God. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking when you see they couldn't pay off their mortgage in the last 5 or 10 years with the money that got wasted because of bad policies, non-existent procedures, non-existent templates, inefficient staff, lack of leverage, lack of profitability. And it's like, this makes a real difference in people's lives. This is the difference between sending your kids to college without student debt, and then they can graduate free to do whatever they want to do, versus sending your kids to college and they graduate so weighed down by student debt that they got to take the first shitty job they get just to pay the bills. This is the difference between being able to have no mortgage, and then all that extra money that you make that you would have made towards a mortgage payment, you can start buying investment properties and build a portfolio of investment properties so that when you go to retire, you've got this portfolio of investment properties versus keep paying the mortgage because the law firm is leaking so much money every year that you can't ever get ahead. This is the difference between having policies and procedures that empower you to hire good people who can come in and do a great job because you've empowered them with great policies and procedures, and because you've got good people doing a great job following policies, following systems, following procedures, using the why, following the standards. Hey, you know what, honey? Let's actually go on a real vacation and really connect with each other again this year versus, hey, we've grown apart. We've become strangers because for the last 5 years, I haven't been able to get away from this fucking law firm because I got no systems and no staff and no way to escape this fucking prison that I made for myself because I started a law firm and built it like a fucking prison. This shit matters. These are real lives we're talking about. That's part of the reason why we do what we do. These are real. You're a human being. The quality of your life, the quality of the environment you raise your children in, the quality of the environment they grow up in to go out into the world, to share the world with my son, is going to be largely dependent on the quality of the systems and the procedures and how you run your business. These are real lives. It's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking, when someone comes to us after they've been running their law firm for 10, 15, even 20 years. And look, you graduate from law school at like 25, 26 years old. Maybe you work for someone else for 5, 6, 7 years. You get to be about 30 years old, maybe 31, 32. You decide to start your own law firm. You don't write a business plan. You don't create a marketing plan. You don't know anything about putting policies and systems and procedures in place. You don't know how to do financial projections. You don't know how to put financial benchmarks in place. You don't know how to do pricing strategies. You don't know how to read a set of financial statements. You don't know how to hold your marketing vendors accountable. You don't know how to hire, train, manage, and put a good team in place and empower them with this kind of stuff. Now you're 50 years old. I'm 55 years old. I mean, 55, you still got a lot of life left in you. But you wake up, you're 50 years old, and you've been beating your head against the wall for 20 years, wasting time, wasting money, getting run down, and doing damage, psychic, emotional damage to yourself and your family, and setting a bad example for your kids who think that to run a business, to be a professional, you gotta suffer. And you wake up at 50 years old and you finally bump into us, and we finally start turning things around, but it takes us a year or two to just clean up the shit show you spent 20 years creating. But you could start a law firm. You could start a law firm and do it the right way the first time. it gives you such a huge head start. And that's, I can't explain why we stopped doing this in 2019. We just did. And I'm really excited to get started with it again. Where are we on time?
15 minutes.
15 minutes left.
15 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I got a bunch of stuff more to talk about, practical policies and procedures and checklists and templates. Nicole, Tanya, you want to add a few words before I jump in to the next part of the lesson, which is going to be.
This is kind of off base, but you've mentioned it a few times, and I think it's so important, right? When you keep saying you don't know why we stopped doing this. One of the things I love about our members' live quarterly meetings is when we pair people up, because firms who have grown and they forget about some of the foundation stuff they did or some of the great stuff they did, like this course, are reminded by the smaller firms to start doing it again.
I love it when I love it when someone comes into how to manage and, they work with us for a little while, they break the 7-figure barrier. This is going to sound a little bit shitty, so let me get to the end. Not listening to the middle, I'm going to sound like a jerk. You got to get to the end. They come in, they're hungry, they're humble, they're open-minded, they're driven, they're motivated, and they're building, and boom, they break the 7-figure barrier, and now they get infected. This is the part that I sound shitty. They get infected with what we call too cool for school syndrome. Look at me, I'm hot shit. I have $1 million law firm. And then they see someone coming up behind them, bask in the rear view mirror. And that person, that lawyer has the eye of the tiger, right? And they're innovating and they're pivoting and they're doing all the stuff that this I'm hot shit used to do and stopped doing. And this is the part that makes me sound less like an asshole. Because what's so cool is because our members are not assholes. We have a strict no assholes policy. But weird shit happens when you get to $1 million, $2 million, $5 million law firm. And sometimes you gotta get someone with eye of the tiger coming up behind you fast in the rear view mirror to remind you and to provoke you and like get you back in the game, and then boom, next thing they know, they got a $5 million firm pulling $1 million in total owner benefits out of the firm, whereas they might have lagged for a little while before we threw them into the ring with a young upstart. So we love it when we got the $5 million, the $10 million, and the $500,000, and the $200,000, and the brand new eye of the tiger. It's great to mix everyone together because everyone can learn from each other and everyone can benefit from each other. And everyone can be inspired by each other and everyone can be kept humble, especially me. I am constantly inspired and constantly motivated by these. They're coming up with ideas that I'm amazed by. Holy shit, who would have thought of that? And I'm sitting there talking to someone with a $100,000, $200,000 law firm, and here I am with an almost $40 million business. I'm like, okay, so how do you do that? And tell me more about that, and teach me more about that. And awesome.
Yeah, they're scrappy and they're when you start, you have to be scrappy and innovative because you don't have the luxury.
I really think
throw money at it.
I really think that's a big part of the secret, if there was a secret, to how we've been able to keep growing How to Manage Small Law from year after year after year after year. Because we keep surrounding ourselves by all these scrappy, innovative people who keep coming up with these crazy new ideas. We're like, okay, this thing called AI, what is that you say?
Or even before the TikTok. So let's talk about the TikTok. Oh, you're an immigration firm and suddenly, boom, TikTok blew you up. It wouldn't even have crossed my consciousness 5 years ago until Hector and Shannon start to do it. I'm not using full names, right?
They got multi-figure law firms basically built off of TikTok. Okay, well, I guess I gotta take TikTok seriously. Anyway, the point here is I just want you to understand that the right people with very successful law firms will want to be around you if you are a startup. They're not gonna look down on you. They're not gonna shit on you. They're not gonna think, oh, well, we're too cool to talk to you. Who are you to talk to us? The right people are going to welcome you and say, come to dinner with us and let us learn from you what you're trying and doing that we aren't trying and doing. And you'll help them be more innovative, and they'll help shine a light on you and be good mentors for you. I just want to understand, you shouldn't be shy about asking people with existing, very successful law firms for help. And anyone who has $1 million or a multi-million dollar or a very successful law firm, if they're not really open and receptive to helping you, it might be their law firm isn't as successful as they want you to think it is. Because a person with a really successful law firm is going to be open and receptive. Last thing you want, I got some things I got to say about policies and procedures. I got to fit this in to this lesson. Tanya, Nicole, final words here? I don't mean final words like goodbye. I mean final words on what we're talking about.
I will say one thing, because I don't think Nicole, and it's her favorite tattoo, really covered it. The who shall do what by when. Two things about it. One, it's not who, it's which position, right? When you're writing your procedures, because people change, but it's so important because it stops the whole, well, I did my part, I don't know what happened after that, because it's very clear what the next role is. I want to say that because it's so freaking important.
If your procedures have anyone's name in it, your policy is on its way to eventually, if your policy has anyone's name in it, your policy is a ticking time bomb that will eventually blow up in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Procedure, I said policy, I meant procedure. Let me rephrase it. If your procedures have anyone's name in them, your procedures are a ticking time bomb waiting to blow up in your face. Someday, someone's going to say, well, this is John's job. Who's John? Well, John. John was Mary before we had Mary. Who's Mary? Well, Mary was Joe before we had Joe. And
Yeah.
And then what happens is you start defining jobs based on individuals' personal strengths and weaknesses instead of hiring people to objective, replicable, scalable standards. I've got to go on with this topic. I can't have everyone weigh in. I got to move on. I'm sorry. All right. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber is required reading or listening by anyone who's serious about starting a successful law firm. The short version of this book goes like this. The myth is that small businesses grow up and become big businesses, and that's not true. The myth is that micro, small, let's call it under $1 million law firms grow up and become seven-figure small law firms or multi-seven-figure small law firms, and maybe grow up to become a mid-sized firm, and that's not true. A mid-sized law firm starts off as a baby mid-sized law firm. A $1 million law firm starts off in day one with $0 in revenue. It starts off with a DNA of $1 million law firm. Starting a small $100,000 law firm with the DNA of a $100,000 law firm and expecting it to grow into a $1 million law firm or a multi-million dollar law firm is the same thing as starting off with a kitten and expecting the kitten to grow up and become a dog. If you want a dog, you have to start off with a DNA of a puppy. If you want a cat, you start off with the DNA of a kitten. Expecting a kitten to grow up and become a dog, it's obviously irrational and makes no sense. And yet we see hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, not just thousands, but hundreds of thousands of struggling law firm owners who are struggling, waiting for their kitten to become a dog. And they think that if they can just work hard enough with the kitten and give the kitten enough training and give the kitten enough food and give the kitten enough love, that the kitten will suddenly become a dog, and it's never going to become a dog. If you want to wind up with a dog, start with a pup. If you want to wind up with a law firm that works for you, start off with a law firm that's built from the ground up to work for you. Don't start with a law firm that's built for you to have a job and expect it to magically transform itself into a business that works for you. It doesn't work that way. And what I don't want you to do, is I don't want you to start off inadvertently with a law firm that's really just being created to give you a job, waste the next 5 years of your life feeding it, your blood, your sweat, your tears, giving it your soul, and then wake up in 5 years demoralized, worn out, and frustrated, and maybe even a little bit angry that it's not working for you. When in fact, it never could have worked for you because you didn't set it up as a business that could eventually work for you. It's a different DNA. And that's what I wanted to say in my final moments today before we wrap up. Do we have any time for any more questions? Tanya, Nicole, anything else you want to add? Will, you look like you're giving me some sort of...
Yeah, I'd like you to mention the survey again. We've had some great
With
responses.
the microphone.
I'd like you to mention the survey again. You've had some great
What would
responses.
you like me to mention about the survey again?
We're dropping it in the comments. They can visit the survey, fill it out.
So what exact words would you like me to say, Will? Here's the microphone.
We're putting the link to the survey in
We're
the
putting
comments.
We're putting the link to the survey in the comments?
Yes,
Yes.
fill it out.
Fill it out.
Who does what by when? You fill it out now.
Will, instead of trying to give me hand signals to say something, just grab the microphone and save yourself.
You've got it.
Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, it's not like he's Tony.
Right, unlike Tony, who Tanya before this morning didn't give a shit about.
Because she didn't know he existed.
Did you know that Tanya did not give a shit? Tanya did not care about Tony. Tanya couldn't even give a shit about Tony until this morning.
That's correct.
You
Again.
imagine
Details.
How that
Is that
feels?
because you didn't know Tony existed?
Tanya didn't even care about it.
Because I've never met anything that Tanya doesn't actually give a shit about.
And now it just got worse. It seems like Nicole doesn't care about it either.
Nicole's matching. Nicole, you're matching
I'm a
your.
much different person
flowers.
than Tanya. No one would ever be surprised if someone said, Nicole didn't give a shit about that person.
Assholes!
I thought there was no asshole policy.
Who doesn't care about Tony? For everyone who has no idea what's
Tony,
happening.
we care, Tony.
Now that you exist, we care
Now that
immensely.
you exist, Tony, we care.
Will, who is our director of acquisitions, who has a whole team and a whole P&L who report up to him, interviewed a guy named Tony to come join the acquisitions team. And so we thought a good way for us to get to know Tony, and for Tony to get to know us, so Tony could decide if we're his kind of crazy, would be to have him come to Miami for a couple of days and hang out with us while we're doing this live stream. So we've been having breakfast and lunch and dinner with Tony, and he's been getting to know us, we've been getting to know him, and we've been spending a lot of time talking about our statement of values with Tony. And Tanya and Nicole, since they don't work in acquisitions, did not know that Will was interviewing Tony and bringing him to
And I
them.
also, wasn't there a Tony in part of the original How to Start?
I can confirm
There
there
was.
was.
So I kind of, here's how my brain went. I kind of saw that and thought it was like an honorary Tony that was along for the ride.
create that program.
So that's
His actual name is Wallace, or
Right.
John just renamed him Tony for this live
That
stream.
makes perfect sense to me. Got it.
Possible.
All right, any questions before we wrap up?
no, but we will let
Do the
everyone know.
survey. The survey's in the thing down there.
Yes.
And let us know if you want us to run this program or not. If there's not enough demand, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be disappointed, but I got other things to do. If there's a lot of demand, I'll be very happy to bring this program back.
We're good.
Yep.
Out?
We're not out yet, but we can say bye-bye.
Yeah.
Nope.
Or what?